and very well educated. Your fleet of cars, very impressive. Minister A responds, did you see the hospital you passed by before coming to my house? I took 25% of it. Minister B says, you should find time and visit me too. So, Minister A visits Minister B and says, but your house is far more impressive, and your children are foreign trained, and your fleet of cars, oh my, you could own an auto shop. The Minister B laughs and says, did you see the bare piece of land you passed by before coming to my home? That is a road project. I took 100% of it. Maybe you laughed, but let me tell you 3 stories. 3 stories that you will all identify with. Meet Efe. Efe's community should have benefited from a fully funded water supply project. She has visited the site on numerous occasions to fetch water, but the project doesn't work. What could it be? Unqualified contractor? Poor supervision of work? She continues to drink from the community's muddied river. Efe falls sick and dies. Corruption. Meet Abdul. Abdul works in a new concrete framed office project, 10-story high, completed by his government, a government that he trusts. He's a proud family man with a wife and 2 children. And anytime he goes to work, he sees the reinforcement showing through the ceiling and through the columns. It's a new project, so what could the issue be? Poor design? Unapproved use of materials? Well, it's 7 p.m. now, and his wife hears the news. The new office complex has collapsed. Abdul is dead. Corruption. Meet Mamina. Mamina is a 15-year-old and wants to assist her parents to care for her younger siblings. She hopes that the new bakery that her community is supposed to get will be completed soon. The equipment is on site and the workers are there, but it's been 3 years and there has been no progress at all. Mamina has no option. Maybe she should marry somebody older at 15 years and be a 4th wife. In that way, her siblings will not starve. What could the situation be? Complete diversion of funds? Complete misappropriation of the funds? Corruption. I ask us, are they laughing? What if? What if?
This is not just one person's story. This is a global problem. Imagine we were 42 young professionals from 23 countries, and we each had a story to share about corruption, or heard of a story involving corruption in a project. Just how bad is it? So all of us looked at our scores, our country's scores in the Corruption Perception Index. So the CPI measures perception of public sector corruption and ranks the countries from very clean, good, to highly corrupt. And these were our scores. It ranged from 1 all the way down to 172. Suffice it to say, we were not happy seeing all that red. I speak for a lot of us who felt that these scores were simply not acceptable. But isn't this the world we're living in right now? Corruption taking root in our society, and it has flourished. But talking about corruption can be very controversial. It has deep roots. There's poverty pushing people to be desperate and susceptible to corruption. The World Bank has found a correlation between a country's per capita income and levels of corruption. And then there's group bias. Studies have shown that when diversity is not managed well, it can lead to high levels of conflict adversity, and corruption. There's also weak institutions, highly politicized mechanisms, when power is wielded not depending on the position, but on the person having that position. Then bureaucracy, over-regulation, inefficient administration, allowing more opportunities for abuse. Couple that with lack of traceability or trackability. The World Economic Forum mentioned that in bureaucracy, paper is power. So these paper-based analog systems prevents transparency and prevents public from having access to all these documents. And all of this make our industry even more susceptible to corruption. Just one infrastructure project involves multiple stakeholders, several people, numerous contractual obligations, and you've got permits, licenses, approvals here and there. Just makes it a breeding ground for this parasitic behavior. Now, no matter how complicated and hidden these roots are, we can debate about what the real roots are. The effects or the fruits are glaring and undeniable. We lose $3.6 trillion a year to corruption. Specific to our industry, engineering and construction, that's $500 billion a year. Now, if global construction output is expected to rise all the way to $17.5 trillion by 2030, we could be losing trillions in corruption. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a big amount of money to waste. And we haven't even talked about money wasted on poor infrastructure that needs to be repaired, rehabilitated, and replaced. Corruption hampers international trade, foreign investment, and kills innovation. All this technology we'll be talking about in this conference will mean nothing because corruption can stifle it. And what about all the lives lost? Can we put a price tag on that? 1.6% of death in children below 5 years old and below has been found to have a link to corruption. 83% of deaths from collapsed buildings and earthquakes have been found in anomalously corrupt societies. Is this it? Are we stuck here? There has to be a better way. I'm from a developing country, and there has to be a better way where I can be part of a fully transparent project, where I can validly claim that and get a stamp of approval that can be recognized here, in my country, and around the world.
Now, imagine you take 40 talented consultants and you put them in a room to solve this big problem. We brainstorm it, we yell at each other, we talk about tequila spicy unicorns, but then we ask ourselves, what can we do? What are the tools that we have to solve this problem? Do we really have to reinvent the wheel? Existing initiatives against corruption are there. CPI, International Corruption Perception Index. We talk about it in the class. Our perception from the construction industry is different from what's on the CPI. CPI is like a thermometer. It shows you the temperature, but does not directly translate to change the temperature. Cost initiative. There is an initiative resulting from a World Bank project from 2015 that promotes transparency. 4 core components of cost involves disclosure, assurance, multi-stakeholder dialogue, social accountability. We believe these initiatives align in principle with our mission statement. In our view, however, it does not leverage the opportunity afforded by new technology to all physical verification of the project. Then we look at other fields, which have been usually globally. Rating system that measure the effectiveness of green initiative from day